Hi, I'm Camille on William Street, and this week we have a really fun project for you for St. Patrick's Day. We're going to show you how to make this adorable clover block. So this block is absolutely perfect for your scrap bin. You're only going to need a few small pieces to put it together, and if you want to make a whole quilt, it's the perfect opportunity to go and raid all of the greens you have that you've been stashing and put together a really fun quilt. So speaking about fabric and the choices that you want to make, one thing that we did is we first tried it with 4 different colors, and it worked, but we didn't love it as much as just 2. So play around with it and see what combination you like. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make it, give you the instructions for making it with 2 different colors of green. Okay, for the fabric for this quilt, we're going to need the 2 different greens. For this block, we're going to need the 2 different greens, and we're going to need the white or the background color. So for this, out of each one of your greens, you're going to want to cut 2 pieces that are 4 by 6, 2 pieces that are 2.5 by 4, and then you're also going to need one of each one of your colors that is 1 by 2, and this is going to be for our stem. Out of your white or background fabric, you're going to need 4 different sizes. First, we're going to need 2 cut at 1.5 by 2 inches. Then we're going to need 8 little 1.5 inch squares. We're going to need 6 at 2 inch squares, and we're going to need 4 at 2.5 inch squares. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make the stems, and we're going to take the 1 by 2 inch of the green print, and we're going to take the 1.5 by 2 inch of the white, and we're just going to sew it down one side. And what this is going to do is this is going to end up giving us a 2 inch block, 2 inch square that we can use to sew onto our leaf. And we're going to do that with both of those 1 by 2 inch pieces. Now we're going to give these a quick press, and then we'll be ready to lay the block out. So to put this block together, we're going to use our favorite stitch and flip method for the corners to get in the shape that we want. So what we're going to want to do first is we're going to take all of the 2 inch squares and the 1.5 inch squares, and we're just going to draw a line from corner to corner on the diagonal. It doesn't really matter which way you go because this is a solid block, so it's not going to make a difference. We are just using a heat erase pen, so it's going to disappear when we iron it, but because you're sewing on this line and cutting it, you're not going to really see it. You could use a pencil or something like that as well. You're also going to take your 2 stem pieces, and we want to draw a line on them, but we want to make sure that they're going opposite here, as you can see, because these ones do matter how they get sewn on. So make sure that when you're drawing the line, it goes opposite on each of those 2 blocks. So now to lay this block out, I'm going to move these out of the way for right now, and we're going to take our 4 by 6 pieces, and we're just going to alternate them. And with this block, I found it's definitely much easier to lay it out first. That makes sure that all of your 1.5 and 2 inch squares get sewn on the right way. So we're going to alternate that, and the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I have the right stems. And this one I actually need to flip because I want the stem to be on the opposite color. So we're just going to flip them this way, and then you can see when I sew my stem on, it's going to fold down like this, and they're going to be on the right sides. So after we have our 4 by 6s in place, we're going to take our 2.5 by 4s, and we're just going to put one of those on each of our 4 by 6s, and this just matches fabric. And then we're also going to take our 2.5 inch squares, and those are going to just go in the corners. Now we get to start laying out our smaller squares and sewing it together. To make things easy while I'm sewing, and I am going to go ahead and be chain stitching this block as much as possible. These I'm just going to set aside because after I sew on the 2 inch blocks, these are just going to go on the opposite corner. So it's going to be easy to know where they go. So now I've got my 2 inch blocks, and these are going to go in the insides where the 2 greens meet. So first we're going to take our stem pieces and place it on that inside corner. When you're doing this, make sure that the green stem is towards the top half, and double check and just test that when you fold that on your line, it's going to fold down and give you that stem that goes down in the right direction. If you have it the wrong way, you'll see very quickly that it's not going to look right. So just do a quick double check there as you're placing that on. And then we need our opposite green stem on that side. Then we're going to take the green, the 2 inch square, and just alternate them so that they make a nice V on all of these corners. So you don't want to have your line touching the corner at all. You want it to go from side to side. And that will help you make sure that you've got it placed on in the right spot. Now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm just going to chain stitch all of these through and just sew directly on the line for all 8 of these pieces. So we're just going to take our piece, line that line up right underneath of our needle, and just stitch directly on the line. After that piece is done, because I've got everything all laid out to the side of me where it's easy to grab, I can just grab the next one and keep going. No need to stop and cut thread in between each of these. We'll snip those all apart at the end after we get them all sewn on. All right, so now I've got my nice long line of blocks, and I am going to go ahead and cut them apart at this point before I add the next one, or else it's really weird trying to maneuver them around. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and add the smaller square, and it doesn't really matter what order you go in, we're going to relay it back out. But you're going to place it here, and it's going to go on the opposite corner, and it's going to be the same thing. Make sure that when you're lining it up, your line doesn't go through the corner. We don't want to sew it that way. And then the same thing, we're just going to start lining them up and chain stitch all the way down all the pieces. So now after I've got that one on the big pieces, make sure that you're lining it up on the opposite corner that is closest to the one that you previously did. We don't want this corner. We want to make sure that it's on the close corner, and we'll sew all these together. Now I'm going to go ahead and just lay it out really quick to make sure that all of the corners are in the right place. Because if I trim these off, it's too late. I would have to start over. So just one real quick lay it out. And that just lets me know that I didn't mess anything up. I'm trying to figure out why it's not working, because I'm doing them all wrong. And that is why I lay it out, to make sure, because sometimes I'm not thinking clearly. All right, so everything is where it needs to be, and now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and trim all of our little corners off. I just like to use our 1-inch ruler. It makes it really nice and easy, and you just line up your 1/4 inch right on the line you sewed and trim off the extra on every single one of those corners. Now I've got all of our corners pressed, and I've got it laid out one more time. Again, just make sure that everything goes in the right place. So now I'm going to go ahead and chain piece again. I'm going to go ahead and put these two together, these two, and these two, iron those, and then I can sew my 4 different sections of my clover together, and then we'll put the 4 pieces together. So let's go ahead and get those sewn up. And when we're pressing these, we're just pressing them out to whatever we just cut. And if there is a spot without a seam, we're going to press it to that side, just to keep everything laying as flat and as smooth as possible as we put this together. Now our clover block is all done and ready to be finished. You can go ahead and make this. It would make an adorable throw pillow. You can make it into a bag. I'm going to make a whole bunch of clovers, put some sashing between them, and make a full throw-sized quilt for our St. Patrick's Day decor. If you would like a full printout of a PDF printout of the instructions for this block, if you sign up for our newsletter, you will gain access to our subscriber library, and it will have a PDF printout so that if you like written instructions sitting next to you while you're working, you can use that. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so that you're notified whenever we have a new video. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We post all the different projects that we're working on and lots of inspiration and fun there as well. And we will see you next week.